Elite Facts presents
10 people you won't believe actually exist.
10.
The man with 0% fat. Have you ever wondered what it would be like without any body fat or muscle? Meet Tom Staniford, a nice guy living with myelodysplastic preleukemic syndrome, also known as MDP syndrome, a condition in which the human body is unable to store fat under the skin. This condition is an extremely rare metabolic disorder, which as of right now only affects a total of 8 people on the planet. People with MDP all share the same no fat whatsoever characteristics, which includes the appearance of sunken eyes, cheeks, and withered lips. Tom Staniford wasn't like this from birth. He was born at a totally normal weight, but because of MDP syndrome, he has shrunk in appearance throughout the years. Now, at 23 years of age, Tom's whole body is pretty much just skin and bones. As a person living with such a rare condition, Tom is pretty much a medical wonder. No doubt he has been a very interesting case for medical experts and often undergoes tests specially designed to measure his entire body's physiological state.
9.
The woman with the ridiculous corset. Now this one is just painful to look at. For the longest time, human beings have been way too obsessed with the hourglass figure. Don't get us wrong, there's nothing wrong with trying to attain that look if it's what you like, but the way people go about trying to achieve this goal is beyond crazy. Take this woman, for example. Michelle Kobke is one of those women who's willing to suffer greatly for what she considers to be beauty. At 24 years old, Michelle, who lives in Germany, is obsessed with achieving the smallest waist in the world. She's so obsessed with the idea of an hourglass figure that she's been wearing corsets every single day for 3 years straight, determined to permanently alter her physical shape through long-term reconditioning and molding.
8.
The world's dirtiest man. There's nothing better than a hot shower. It never fails to leave you feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. But bathing isn't necessarily everyone's cup of tea. For example, meet Amu Hadij, an 80-year-old man who hasn't washed in more than 60 years. Amu lives in a small abandoned brick hut in the village of Dezga, completely alone, surrounded by garbage, dirt, and animal feces. Gee, we wonder why he lives completely alone. But Amu is a bit of a loner, and he's perfectly okay with this as he likes to keep to himself. The weirdest part of this is the fact that he doesn't even realize just how dirty he really is. His less than sanitary but simple life is completely by choice. He's dirty because he's refused to bathe, not because he doesn't have a way of cleaning himself. Not to seem judgmental or anything, but this is a pretty disgusting way to live. You can clearly see that his skin is as thick as leather and a bit scaly, most likely due to the layers and layers of dirt and grime that have accumulated over his body over the last 60 years. His face and beard are covered in black soot because he's a constant smoker, with his most prized possession being a broken steel pipe, which he uses to smoke animal dung on a daily basis. Yeah, so that should tell you a little bit about what his breath must smell like. It's definitely not a lifestyle choice most sane people would opt for, but hey, if that's his thing, then so be it.
7.
The woman with the largest hips in the world. To be fair, men love curves. I mean, they're pretty much obsessed with them. Well, nobody knows that more than Michele Raffanelli. Who is Michele Raffanelli? Oh, nobody special. She only holds the current world record for having the widest hips in the world. Her hips measure an amazing 8-foot circumference. That is crazy.
6.
The real-life Barbie doll. You've probably seen this girl online either as the subject of many YouTube videos or as the main focus of some of those odd pop-up ads. So most of you know who she is and what her claim to fame is. Valeria Lukianov, a Ukrainian model, is world famous for resembling a Barbie doll. She achieved this look using makeup, along with just a bit of cosmetic surgery, and a strict diet to keep her doll-like proportions. Now, admittedly, this alone is pretty weird, but it gets even weirder as she actually met the human version of the Ken doll as a publicity stunt a few years back. But tragically, the pair didn't get on at all. Maybe it was the lack of genitalia that Barbie and Ken dolls suffer from.
5.
The woman with the largest hands in the world. Next up, we have Dwang J. Sameksamam, who at the age of 50 may have the largest arms and hands in the entire world. Check out the photos. Her hands are absolutely huge. The reason that her hands and arms are so massive is due to a rare congenital malformation called macrodystrophia lipomatosa. Sameksamam has had several surgeries, but none of them has helped her with her condition. The only other method of dealing with this condition is amputation, but this option is completely out of the question for her.
4,
Man with the upside down head. Talk about seeing the world from a different perspective. Here we have Claudio Vieira de Oliveira, who grew up with a head bent all the way backwards, which could never be held upright, and limbs that are pretty much useless. He suffers from congenital arthrogryposis, which basically means that a joint is fixed in either a flexed or extended position. Now, okay, this alone is pretty unusual, but would you believe that he was only diagnosed with this in recent years? Bear in mind, he's around 37 years old. Maybe it's because until now, the doctors were too busy trying to convince his mother to starve him. Yes, that was actually something that the doctors tried to do. As its name implies, congenital arthrogryposis is a condition de Oliveira was born with. Everything is so much harder for him to do, but he does it anyway. He says he hates being entirely dependent, and his family says they raised him to be as independent as he can be, which may have been challenging, but seems to have been worth it. In a way, it's quite the achievement that he's managed to become independent with a condition like this. This positive attitude culminates in his saying that he feels like anyone else, and in most ways he is. Just like everyone else, he studied one thing, accounting, and did something completely different once he graduated.
3,
The real-life Papa Smurf. Did you know that if you eat too many carrots or tomatoes, your skin can turn orange or red, respectively? So what's the deal with Papa Smurf over here? Did he eat too many blueberries? Well, it's actually a little more complicated than that, and a bit more tragic. Paul Carrison's skin turned blue when he was trying to treat his dermatitis. Yikes. He thought it would be smart to use colloidal silver, which led to him developing a health condition called algiria. Sadly, Paul suffered a heart attack at the age of 62 and passed away.
2,
Strongest man in the world. So you'd probably get away with teasing most of the people on this list. But if you're the type of person who would do something like that, well, first off, you're a terrible person. And secondly, we dare you to try teasing this guy. Honestly, you wouldn't last 10 seconds if you dared to tease Brian Shaw. In 2015, Brian took home his third title for World's Strongest Man. It turns out being able to lift 975 pounds is enough to prove that you're the world's strongest man. Now, think about it. Would you really want to piss off the world's strongest man? He'd crush your head like a sandwich in a panini maker.
1,
Didi Kozwara. So we think it's pretty obvious why Didi Kozwara was given the name Tree Man. It's because his entire body is riddled with warts that look like tree bark. He has said that the warts started to develop all over his body after he scraped his knee. He was then diagnosed with Lewandowski-Lutz dysplasia. As you can imagine, he went through numerous surgeries to try and remove the warts in an attempt to live a normal life and pursue his passion of carpentry. Unfortunately, Didi passed away in February of 2016 at the age of 45 because of this illness.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.